So hi everyone, welcome to Testnet India. So in this session we will look into simple interest and compound interest. So most of us are aware of the terminology that come under the interest. It can be simple interest, it can also be compound interest. But let me explain you these concepts briefly along with the formulae related to this. So for instance, you borrowed some money from your friend, right? Let's say you borrowed 1,000 rupees from your friend for 2 years, right? Okay, so you borrowed for 2 years. Your friend lent this 1,000 rupees for 2 years at 10% simple interest every year. Okay, every year per annum, right? Now, by the end of first year, what is the amount that you must pay? What is the interest you must pay to your friend? 10% of 1,000, right? So 10% of the amount that you borrowed. So 10% of 1,000 is 100 rupees. So this is the interest for the first year. Since you have borrowed the amount for 2 years, the 1,000 rupees for 2 years, for the second year also you must pay the interest. So for second year, also the same 10% is applied. So 10% of 1,000 is 100. This is the interest for the second year. Now, whenever you are repaying this amount, this repaying the sum that you have borrowed 2 years ago, whenever you are repaying this, you must, along with this interest, you must give this, right? So by the end of 2 years, you are paying 1,200 rupees to your friend along with the interest. If we name the terminologies, if we name this, the initial amount that you borrowed from your friend is known as the principal amount, right? It's known as the principal, and the 2 years is known as the time period. And what is this 10%? 10% is the rate of interest. And what is this? This 100 and 100. This is the interest on the principal. And this 1,200, what is this 1,200? 1,200 is principal plus interest, right? 1,200 is a combination of principal and interest. So this is the amount, interest, rate of interest, time period, and principal. And remember, this amount is always equal to principal plus interest, right? If you observe here, the principal is 1,000 and the interest is 100 and 100, which is 200. So 1,000 plus 200 is 1,200. So principal plus interest is known as amount. So I will just brief you about the difference between simple interest and compound interest. So how simple interest works? Let us take the rate of interest as 10% per annum. Then, so you borrowed 1,000 rupees from your friend. So for the first year, this is the principal, this is the interest, and this is the amount, right? So you borrowed 1,000 rupees. So 1,000 is the principal. So this is the rate of interest. Okay. So first year you borrowed, and for the first year the principal is 1,000 rupees and the interest is 10% of 1,000. So the interest that you must pay to your friend is 100 rupees. And what is the total amount by the end of the first year? It's 1,100. Why this 1,100? 1,000 plus 100, right? Now, we shall assume that you are not able to pay at the end of the first year. So you wanted to pay after second year, by the end of second year. Now the principal that you borrowed, that remains same. Again, you are not borrowing, but the same principal is carried to the second year also, and interest is as usual, which is 10%. 10% of 1,000, that is 100. And now the amount is 1,200. Why this 1,200? 1,000 is the principal, 100 is the interest for the first year, and 100 is the interest for the second year, right? So this 1,000, 100 and 100. Now let us assume that you are not going to pay at the end of the second year, you wanted to pay at the end of the third year. Now what happens? Interest is the principal is same, and now the interest is 100 because 10% of 1,000 is 100. Now the amount by the end of the third year is 1,300. Why this 1,300? The principal 1,000 and the interest of the 3 years, which is 100, 100 and 100, 300, so 1300, right? This is simple interest. What about the formula for simple interest? Simple interest is PNR by 100. So it is also known as PTR by 100. Instead of N, we can also write T. Okay. So what is P? P is the principal, N is the time period in years. Okay. Time period in years. R is the rate of interest. SI means simple interest. So this is simple interest. And how can we calculate the amount in simple interest? Amount after n years. Okay, amount after n years is, we know amount is principal plus interest, right? Amount is principal plus interest. So principal we know, simple interest we know, which is PNR by 100. So let's just substitute here PNR by 100. So if we take P as common, then we will get 1 plus NR by 100, right? So this is the amount. This is the simple interest formula. So to calculate simple interest, no other formula is required. Okay, to calculate the amount, no other formula is required except these two. Okay, just remember these two formulae in simple interest concept. Now coming to compound interest, how compound interest works? Let's take the same example where you borrowed 1000 rupees from your friend, right, at 10% rate of interest. So 1000 is the principal. Okay, so first year the principal is 1000 rupees and the rate of interest is 10% of 1000, 100. The amount is 1100, right? 1000 plus 100, which is 1100. This is perfect. Now let us assume that you are not going to repay the amount at the end of the first year. Now you want to repay the amount at the end of second year. Now what happens is, now what will happen? What is the principal? See, in simple interest, the principal, the same principal is carried all the years. No matter in which year you wanted to pay the loan, you wanted to repay the loan, the same interest was carried every year. But in compound interest, right, in this case, the principal for second year is not this one. It is 1100. The amount of the previous year will be the principal of the next year in case of compound interest. So 10% is the rate of interest. So rate of interest for the second year is 10% of 1100, which is 110 rupees. Now what is the total amount by the end of second year? 1210. That is 1000 is the principal, 100 is the first year's interest, and 110 is the second year's interest. Now let us assume that you are not going to pay this one at the end of second year also. You wanted to pay at the end of third year, right? Now what is the principal for the third year? It's not 1100. It's neither 1000. It's neither 1000 nor 1100. It's 1210, right? So 1210 is the principal for the third year. And what is 10% of 1210? It's 121. And the amount at the end of third year that you must pay to your friend is 1331. Why 1331? 1000 is the principal, 100 is the first year's interest, 110 is second year's interest, 121 is the third year's interest. For the first year, the simple interest, compound interest, for any interest it is same, but entire difference will start from the second year, where the amount of the previous year will become the amount of the previous year becomes the principal of the next year, right? Hope you understood the difference, and you all might be aware of this, but I want to repeat it once again so that you will be much more clear. Now let us move to the formula of simple compound interest. Compound interest is equal to principal into 1 plus r by 100 whole power n minus p, right? And what about the amount in compound interest? Amount is equal to p into 1 plus r by 100 whole power n. So for compound interest, just remember these two formulae. Of course, we have two more. continuous compounding formula and non-annual compounding. I will write it here. Just make a note of these two. So in case the compound interest is being compounded non-annually, right? Non-annual compounding. So in non-annual compounding, the amount will be equal to P into 1 plus R by T by 100 into N into T, where P is the principal, A is the amount, R is the rate of interest, and N is the number of times compounding happens in a year, right? See, non-annual compounding means, let us say the compound interest is for 2 years, that is annual compounding. Whereas if we say the compound interest is half yearly, okay, half yearly, that means for every 6 months, then this is a non-annual compounding. Then what happens? R by T will become R by 6, R by T becomes R by 2 in case of compounding half yearly, because in 1 year we will get 2 sixes, right? So R by 2 and N into 2. So we will have a value there. R can be 5% per year, that is rate of interest, right? So if it were 10% per year, then it would be 10 by 2, and N N into 2, right? So if it is annual compounding, we can directly use the formula as we learnt previously, which is amount is equal to P into 1 plus R by 100 whole power N. In case of non-annual compounding, we must use this, but don't worry, we will apply these formulae, whatever we are learning now, we will apply this in this session itself. Okay, each and every formula we will apply, and we will cover 14 models in this session, so don't skip this video. We will cover different models, different problems in this session. So in case if the compounding happens continuously, if compounding happens continuously, what is the formula? Continuous. So please make a note of this formula. We are discussing a limited number of formulae. I think this is 2, 3, 4, 5. See, 5 formulae we discussed now. So these 5 are enough to solve any problem in simple interest or in compound interest, right? So just please make a note of these 5 formulae. So what is the formula for continuous compounding? Its amount is equal to P into E power NR by 100, right? So A is the amount, P is the principal, okay, we know that. N is the time period in N years, in time period in years, we also know that. R is rate of interest, we know that. What is E? E is exponential. So E is also known as Napier's number. An approximate value of E is equal to approximately equal to 2.72. Most probably this value will be given in the examination, right? This will be described. In case it is not described, what will you do? So that's why just remember this, E is approximately equal to 2.72, okay, 2.72. We will apply this one also. We will take an example, we will apply this formula also in this session itself, okay. So let's move on to the session. Simple interest for sum of rupees 1230 for 2 years is rupees 10 more than the simple interest for rupees 1130 for same duration. Find the rate of interest. So in both the cases, the duration is same, time period is same, 2 years and 2 years. So whenever we find these kind of problems, just we have to make an equation so that we can do it easily. See, simply look into this. Simple interest for for this principal is 10 rupees more than simple interest for this principal. What does this mean? The difference of these two simple interests is rupees 10. Have you understood? So simple interest, the difference between two simple interest is rupees 10. We know SI, simple interest, means PTR by 100, right? Or PNR by 100, anything we can take. So PNR by 100 is equal to 10. In first case, what is the principal? 1230. What is the duration? N is 2 years. And what is r percent? We do not know the rate of interest, so let us keep it as r by 100 minus principal in the second case 1130. So duration is same 2 years and we do not know the rate of interest, so let us keep it r by 100, that is equal to 10. So solve this, just solve this. You will get r as 5%. Okay, solve this. Just solve this. We will get r as 5%. So what is the crux here? The main step is this one. This is the important step. If you form this, then everything you can do it easily. Okay, let's move on to the next problem. A sum of rupees 2668 amounts to rupees 4669 in 5 years at rate of simple interest, then find the rate percent. Okay, so a sum of 2668 amounts to 4669, so this one becomes this in 5 years. That means this principal becomes this amount in this time duration. Understood? So we need to find the rate of interest, the rate percent. So we know principal, we know amount, we know time, the time period. So in simple interest, we have two formulae. So we discussed. First one is PNR by 100 and the second one is amount. So whenever we know amount, or if we want to calculate amount, just use this formula. A is equal to P into 1 plus TR by 100, right? So A we know. What is A? 4669. What is P? P is 2668 into 1 plus TR. T we know 5. R we do not know. Just keep it as it is. So solve this, and we will get R as 15. Okay. So the rate percent is 15, right? So here just take the LCM. Okay, take LCM and solve this. You will get R as 15%. Mr. A takes some loan from Mr. B for 2 years at rate of 5% per annum, and after 2 years he gave back. Okay, he gives back rupees 6,600 to Mr. B and completes the payment of loan. Find the interest paid by Mr. A. Okay, so here he gave back 6,600. What does this mean? After taking interest, he is returning 6,600. That means that is amount, right? That's not principal, that is amount. So we know amount to be 6,600. Okay, we do not know the principal, so how much he borrowed we do not know. So we know time as 2 years, time period we know 2 years, and rate of interest as 5%. So we are asked to find out the interest paid by Mr. A. Okay, so just substitute in this formula. We know, right? A is equal to P into amount is equal to principal into 1 plus TR by 100. So what is A? A is 6600, and P, let us keep it into 1 plus 2 into 5 by 100. Okay, so take LCM and calculate. So you will get P as 6000, right? So this principal is 6000. So A takes 6,000 from B, and after that he gives 6,600 to B, that is the amount. So how much did he pay interest? So this is the principal, this is the amount. So the interest is 6,600 minus 6,000, that is 600 rupees, right? 600 rupees is the interest paid by Mr. A to Mr. B. Find certain sum. The simple interest in 2 years at 8% per annum is rupees. For certain sum, the simple interest in 2 years at 8% per annum is rupees 110, or more than the simple interest in 1 year at 5% per annum for the same sum. Find the sum. So here what is given? The simple interest in 2 years at 8% for a sum is 110 more than. So here whenever you find more than or less than, you have to think of a certain equation, you have to frame an equation. So more than the simple interest in 1 year at 5% per annum for same sum. So here simple interest of one thing, the difference between two simple interest is 110. That is the meaning, right? So what is simple interest? PNR by 100 minus PNR by 100, that is 110. You see, if we observe here, sum is same sum in both the cases. So P is same. So take P as common, we'll get, okay, if we take P as common, in first case what is N? N is 2, and what is interest R? R is 8% by 100. And in second case what is N? N is 1 year, so R is 5 by 100, that is equal to 110. So P is 16 minus 5 by 100 into 110. Okay, so P will be equal to 1000. So that is sum means principal, so the principal is 1000 rupees. Mr. R lent rupees 400 to Mr. A for 2 years and rupees 100 to Mr. M for 4 years and received from both rupees 60 as interest. So find the rate of interest. So what did Mr. R do? So Mr. R lent 400 for Mr. A. So for Mr. A and for Mr. M. Okay, so for A he lent 400 rupees, and for B, for M, he lent 100 rupees. But he received 60 rupees as interest from both of them. So A and M together gave 60 rupees as interest. So simple interest of A and simple interest of B is equal to 60 rupees, right? So just calculate now. PNR by 100 plus PNR by 100 is equal to 60. So what is P in first case? P is 400 into N is 2 years, and X we do not know R, so let us keep it as R by 100. And in second case what is P? P is 100. And what is N? N is 4 years, right? So 4 into R, we do not know the rate of interest, so let us keep it R by 100, that is equal to 60. Calculate this, you'll get R as 60 by 12, that is equal to 5. So R is 5%. The rate of interest at which R lent to Mr. A and M is 5%. A borrowed rupees 800 at 6% and B borrowed rupees 600 at 10%. After how much time will they both have equal debts? A borrowed rupees 800. Okay, so 800 at 6% per annum. At the same time, B borrowed rupees 600 at 10%. After how much time will they both have equal debts? Okay, so equal debts means, so what is going to be equal debt? See, they borrowed some amount for at some rate of interest. Okay, so after how much time will they both have equal debts? Means at what time their amounts will be equal. So that is the meaning of this. So after how much time their amounts, the amounts of A and B to be repaid will be equal. The amount of A and the amount of B will be equal after how much time? This is the question. So amount of A, so we know amount is known as, is a combination of principal and interest, right? Principal and interest. So this is the equation. Principal and interest is equal to principal plus interest. Okay, principal plus interest. So what is principal in first case? It's 800, and interest we know as it is simple interest. Interest is PNR by 100, and the principal in the second case is 600, right? Plus interest is PNR by 100. So 800 plus what is the principal? 800. N we do not know, keep it as N. R is 6% by 100. So in the second case principal is 600, N we do not know, keep it as N, and R is 10 by 100. Now calculate this, you'll get N as 50 by 3. Okay, what is this? 50 by 3 is number of years. So N will always, N should be expressed in years, be it simple interest or be it compound interest. it must be expressed in years. Please remember this. So we can further simplify. 50 by 3 is, we can further simplify. So 16 2 by 3 years. So after 16 2 by 3 years, their debts, their amounts will be equal, right? Okay, let's move on to the next question. A person invests rupees 12,000 as fixed deposit at a bank at a rate of 10% per annum simple interest. Due to some needs, he has withdrawn the entire money after 3 years, for which the bank allowed him a lower rate of interest. If he gets 3,320 less than what would have got at end of 5 years, the rate of interest allowed by bank. I think you all must be aware of this deposit concept, fixed deposit concept in banks. So in banking system, fixed deposit means you deposit some amount in some money in your bank for a fixed number of years. Let's say for 4 years, right? Let's say 10,000 rupees for 4 years. That means for 4 years, till the completion of the 4th year, you shouldn't withdraw this. Okay, so for this, the bank is giving you 10% rate of interest, let's say. Okay, now due to some reasons, you want to withdraw your money before the completion of 4 years. Let's say in 3rd year you want to withdraw this money what you have deposited. So what will the bank do is, the bank doesn't pay you 10% interest, it pays you lesser than 10% interest. So the same concept is applied in this. So the same meaning in this question. So a person invests 12,000 as fixed deposit, so the bank is giving him 10% simple interest. So before 5 years, that is immediately after 3rd year, he withdrew his investment, right? That's why he got 3,320 rupees less than what he would have got after the 5 years. So we must calculate the rate of interest of the bank. So this 3,320, what is that 3,320? That is, he got 3,320 less than what would have got at the end of 5 years. It's the difference between two simple interests, because the simple interest of the 5 years and the simple interest after 3 years. This is for 5 years, this is for 3 years. So of these 2 years is 3,320. If he had deposited for 5 years, he would have got this one. He didn't deposit for 5 years, he withdrew after 3rd year. That's the reason why he got 3,320 rupees less interest. Okay, so we framed this. Now let's calculate. SI, we know PNR by 100. So what is principal in first case? 12,000. N is time is 5 and the rate is 10% by 100. Okay, and in second case, simple interest is 12,000, time period is 3 years, we don't know R, we must find it, by 100 is equal to 3320. Now calculate this, you will get R as 67 by 9%. So Mr. R invests an amount rupees 24,200 at rate of 4% per annum for 6 years to obtain simple interest, and later he invests the principal amount as well as the amount obtained on simple interest for another 4 years at the same rate of interest. So what amount of simple interest will be obtained at the end of 4 years? See here we have two cases. In case 1, we have principal of 24,200 and rate of interest as 4% and time period as 6%. So what is simple interest? Simple interest is PNR by 100, that is 24,200 into 6 into 4 by 100. So simple interest will be 5,808. This is simple interest for the first case. Now what happened? Later he invested the same the principal amount as well as the amount obtained on simple interest for another 4 years. This is the simple interest, and the principal in the first case is 24,200. Now he combined these two the principal as well as the interest, and he invested this combination for something else for 4 years, right? So now 24,200 plus 5,808 becomes 30,008, right? So this one is the principal for the second case. So this is the principal. Now this is case 2, this is the principal, and what is the time period? Time period is for one more 4 years, that is t is equal to 4 years, and r is, we know, 4%. So SI, what is simple interest in this case? PT by 100, that is into 4 into 4 by 100. So simple interest in this case is 4,008. Okay, this is the simple interest. So what amount of simple interest will be obtained at the end of the last 4 years? This is the simple interest that he will get at the end of the last 4 years, right? Bharat had rupees 10,000 with him. Out of his money, he lent some money to Akash. So he lent some money to Akash for 2 years at 15% simple interest, and she lent remaining money to Ajay for equal number of years at 18%. After 2 years, Bharat found that Akash had given 360 rupees more interest compared to Ajay. The amount of money which Bharat had lent to Ajay must be. See here, Bharat found that Akash had given 360 rupees more interest than Ajay. So the difference between the interest given by Ajay and Akash is 360 rupees. So the simple interest, the difference between simple interest of the two is 360. Now calculate. So what is the principal in first case? It is, we don't know. So let us give it as x into time is 2 years and rate of interest is 15 by 100 minus the principal of second case is 10,000 minus x. Why? Because 10,000, out of this 10,000, some amount was lent to Akash and the remaining amount to Ajay. So if Akash gets x rupees, then Ajay must get the remaining, that is 10,000 minus x. Okay. So 2 into what is 2? 2 is the number of years, and percentage 18% by 100, that is equal to 360. So calculate this, you'll get x as 6,000 rupees. So what is this 6,000? X is 6,000. That means the amount that Akash borrowed is 6,000. We are asked to find out Ajay's amount. So if this is 6,000, then Ajay must have borrowed 10,000 minus 6, that is 4,000 rupees, right? So 4,000 is the answer. So let's solve some problems in compound interest. So a sum of rupees 40,000 is invested for 18 months at 20% per annum on compound interest. If the interest is compounded half yearly, what will be the interest to be paid? So we know the non-annual compounding, right? Non-annual compounding. Annual compounding means 1 year, for 2 years, 3 years. Whereas for non-annual compounding, it will be like half yearly, quarterly, like that. Okay. So it's compounded half yearly. So principal, we know it's 40,000. Rate of interest, we know 20% per annum. Okay. And time period, we know 18 months, right? 18. So what we learned, time period must always be in years. So calculate, change this into years. 18 months by 12, right? 18 by 12, that is 3 by 2. 3 by 2 years. And we know the non-annual compounding formula, that is A is equal to P into amount is equal to principal into 1 plus R by T by 100 into 2 into T, right? So amount is equal to principal, that is 40,000 into 1 plus R by T. What is R? R is 20. What is T? T is 2. Why? It is half yearly, right? So half yearly means in 1 year there will be two halves, two 6 months, right? 6 and 6. So by 2, by 100 into 2. See, why have we taken n as 2 here? Because it is half yearly, right? So t is, so here n will be 2. So here t is 3 by 2, and let us cancel these 2 and we will get 40,000 into, so take LCM, we will get 11 by 10 into 3. So just simplify this, 11 by 10 into 11 by 10 into 11 by 10. So we will get A, that is amount, as 53,240 rupees. So what is the interest to be paid? This is the amount. So amount is 53,240. And what is the principal? It's 40,000. So what is the interest to be paid? Just subtract this, that will be the interest. The compounding 8,000 for 9 months at 20% per annum, interest being compounded quarterly. Okay, so quarterly means we must take it as by 4, not by 2. By 2 means half yearly. Quarterly means by 4. So here what is the principal? Principal is 8,000. Rate of interest is 20% per annum, and T is 9 months. We discussed, right? Months must be converted into years. So 9 by 12. We'll simplify it later. So now A is equal to P into 1 plus R by 4 by 100, 4 into 9 by 12. So we know P as 8,000 into 1 plus, what is R? R is 20 by 4, 20. So take LCM and calculate this. We will get amount as 9,261. What is the question? We must find out the interest, right? Interest. So this is the amount. What is the principal? Principal is 8,000 and interest is equal to amount minus principal, that is 8,000, 9,261 minus 8,000. So interest is equal to, subtract these two, you will get 1,261. Okay, so this question is related to continuous compounding. Okay, so this question is related to the population based. Okay, so in simple interest, compound interest, we will also get population based problems, but already I explained you how to solve population based problems easily in the percentages tutorial, right? So in population based problems, we have two types. The first one is we are asked to find out the population of the future, and the second one is we are asked to find out the population of the past. So we will look into this now. The population of a city increases at a rate of 15% per annum. Okay, if the population was 4,000 at the end of 2015, then what will be its population at the end of the year 2017? Okay, so the population is 4,000, right? So in 2015 the population is 4,000, but we must find out the population at the end of 2017. So we must find out the population after 2 years, right? That is the population of the future. What is happening here? The rate is 15% per annum. It's increasing. So it is similar like the interest, right? We solve in problems based on interest. So it is similar to that. So 4,000 into 15% increase means 100 plus 15, 115 by 100. For how many years? For 2 years, right? From 2015 to 2017. So one more year. Solve this. We'll get 5290. This is the population at the end of 2017, right? So this is the problem related to continuous compounding interest. So we learned, right, the continuous compounding interest formula. An amount of rupees 2,340 is deposited in a bank, paying an annual interest rate of 3.1% compounded annually, compounded continuously. So find the balance after 3 years. We know continuous compounding formula as amount is equal to P into principal into e power nr by 100. Okay, e power nr by 100. So what is the amount? See here, amount, don't get confused with this amount and this amount. An amount of 2,340 is deposited in a bank. So this amount is principal, not the amount in which interest is embedded. Okay, here principal is 2340, so A is equal to 2340 into, we know E as 2.72, right? So what is N? N is 3 years, right? Balance after 3 years. So 3 into, what is R? What is the percentage? 3.1 by 100. So just solve this. Okay, solve this and you'll get the amount as 2568 rupees. So this is the approximate amount. So this is the balance after 3 years. So in this session we covered the basic problems that come under profit, that come under this simple interest and compound interest. So keep revising, keep solving different problems, moderate level, and after solving moderate level you can move on to the advanced phase. Okay, so thank you very much and all the very best.